It's the HoopWise Podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
And welcome back to another episode of the HoopWise Podcast, part of New England Basketball Journal. I'm Ethan Fuller. No Steve Hewitt today. He's off on the trail for open gyms and such. But we do have a guest I've been really excited to get on for a while. I believe this is confirmed the all-time winningest in terms of state titles coach in MIAA basketball history, Clinton Bronco Lassiter. Coach, thank you for taking some time this morning. How's it going?
Doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while. So before we get into probably the more important conversation, I've always wanted to ask about your fit game, because throughout the season, and especially when we get to the tournament, you turn it up every time. How do you have all those outfits, and like, what inspires you to do that?
Honestly, it's one of those things that, so for basketball, for the most part, I mean, I used to wear sweatpants or shorts forever. So when I'm going to practice, I'm in sweatpants and shorts. And I'm at work, I'm in obviously professional clothes, since I'm the vice principal. But for most of my rec games, I'm in sweatpants and shorts. So I figured for high school, when it's the big moments, you got to look the part. So when you're going to big ball, masquerade ball, whatever it might be, you got to look the part. So the playoff games and championship games are my masquerade balls. So I try to just look the part. And they say you look good, you play good.
Clearly it works. Do you have a favorite fit of all time that you've worn in a game?
Favorite, I would say the favorite probably was the vest ensemble. I like the vest little package. I used to have a history when we played at Taunton. I used to have the red blazer. That was like a historical tradition I always did, just a psychological thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that you make a statement that way. And obviously, again, your teams have done it the last 10 years, 7 titles in 10 years, moving up to Division III now. It has been just one of the classes of the state in general, like beyond even division talk. I want to get into some of that. I know you've had such a prominent role in the city as growing up here as a player at O'Brien, and then now your coaching career. I want to get into all this sort of stuff. First, I did want to ask too, you have a son who is almost a year old now?
Yeah, 10 months yesterday. 10 months yesterday.
How has that changed your day-to-day life as vice principal, right? And coach during a lot of the season, director of the Boston Showstoppers too. How are you balancing all that?
It's busy, but it's one of those things, like I'm competitive. So a challenge gets put in my way. I just trying to figure out ways to navigate around it, because I feel like this is a solution to everything. So my son was born November 17th last year, which is like right before the season started, which was so like no sleep at nights. So my counter to getting no sleep was I would just watch film. So watch either games of our team or games of teams we're going to play, and just do more and more research. So it was like, if I'm going to be up anyway, not going to have time to do be as best prepared as possible.
That's true. That kind of gives you an excuse in some ways.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to get into, I want to start with the basketball side first. And I don't think it'll take as long, because I listened in preparation for this podcast, your appearance with Jimmy Hills, and that was really cool. And I want to get into some of the stuff you talked about there. But we'll get to that. First, on the basketball side, again, coming off yet another state championship, what do you think makes this so repeatable for your team year after year, as far as style of play, the ability for you guys to be so unselfish and so balanced? Why do you think it works so consistently?
I would just say the culture. Kids that come here, you have to want to be here. Like families, kids, like it's not easy. For one, we're a school that has the tuition, so you have to want to invest in yourself. Be at a place like this, and then for two, we wear uniforms. We're right in the South End. You got to commute here. There's no school bus that take you here. But I think once you commit to that and you realize what you signed up for and you get involved in it, it's a win the coach in the classroom, win the coach in the basketball court. And then each year we have history of sending our kids off to college. So like last year, we graduated 7 kids. Of those 7, 5 wanted to play basketball in college. All 4 of the 5 No, 4 of them want to play basketball in college. Should have been 5. One of them was a scholarship player, but said she didn't love basketball enough to commit in college. But 4 of the 5 want to go play in college this year. For as a combined of the 4 people, it's $12,000 total. They got to pay total. So, like, not each is so. The whole goal is they invested in themselves early. They go to school basically for free, and college nowadays is so expensive. So that's a win-win across the board. Not only are they going to college, but they're going for damn near pennies per year.
Yep. I feel that as a college alumni paying off the student loans right now. I understand it. And I think, again, like the track record, even beyond the titles of some of the players that have come through your program, like Ariana Vanderhoop is kind of a classic example of someone who's really awesome. Even more recently, like the players I've watched, like Jasmine Day and Hijjah Allen-Paisley, who just graduated. They have all come through this program. And I think the theme, whenever I've watched you year over year, is that you play really hard, you play really, really fast. And you've referenced multiple times the amount of sprints that your team does, the conditioning. Yeah. Can you unpack a little bit more? Like, what do you think makes your team so well conditioned to do this over and over?
Again, everything. I tell them you got to work hard in the classroom, in life, and on the court. So if it was easy, everyone would be able to do it. So we try to put them through as many obstacles. And then when they start beating certain times, we make the time go a little even lower. So it's like pushing them to their brink where they think they can't do it. And then when they do it, like, oh, wow, we actually can. So when they hit that adversity, whether it's on the court and in life, they still feel that there's a way to sort of persevere. So I think we work hard on the court, that what you all see, but the stuff that the amount of energy and passion that these young ladies put in and day out, I think it surprises me. Like, I try to work out them here and there. I'm like, I don't know how you all do this. But I say to them, that's why I have to pay for school. I pay for school because I couldn't do what they do. So.
Yeah, I get it. I wanted to ask too, I think the last question on the basketball side, before I get into a little bit more about what you talked about on your other podcast appearance. Very quick preview to next season. You graduated a ton. This was like this is a class that like defined a lot of the recent years of success for you. It was 7 seniors, I believe.
7 seniors.
How do you approach a season after that, where you're also moving up a division, and that's going to be another challenge for you guys?
So we not only lost 7 seniors, we lost 2 that transferred. They moved out of state. So one kid family moved to New Hampshire, another kid's family moved to Virginia. So we lost 2 kids that would have been potentially starting for us. One was the kid that was going to be had a Division I scholarship already, which is Christina. We lost her.
Wow.
She moved to Virginia. Family moved to Virginia for work. So it's one of those things that it's an obstacle, right? So I'd say I'm very competitive. You get one obstacle, you got to figure out a way around it. So we have a bunch of young kids that's coming in that came in. So they're young and have no clue about what real high school basketball is like. But I like that challenge. We have a couple kids that transferred into the school. That should help us out. But for me, I love teaching. I used to be a math teacher. So now, again, I'm the vice principal now, but I teach on the court the same exact way. So I figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are and try to sort of navigate around those to make it be one mesh. And I have still probably 2 of the best kids in the state with Kiana Rains and Tamia Darling. So if I have 2 of probably the best in MIAA state, I have an opportunity to sort of make some noise somehow, some way. So it's on me to figure out how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned those 2. They're both awesome, great athletes who, again, like fit into your style of like play really hard, defend really hard, are very unselfish. Yeah, those 2 names you mentioned, they're going to be great. So I want to pivot a little bit to some of the stuff you talked about with Jimmy Hills, because it was really fascinating. And as someone who has covered the city for a couple of years now, it was really interesting to hear you talk about what it's like to coach girls largely from the inner city. I first wanted to ask you, as someone who grew up in Boston, as someone who had 2 nieces who went on to great basketball success at the college level, what did you notice growing up, and even as you started coaching, are some of the challenges for girls who want to play in inner city Boston?
The reality is that it may be America, it could be just what girls basketball has become, what's growing to now, which is sad. It's about money. It's about money. This whole basketball thing now, from grassroots to even some of the tournaments that we have in MIAA, like who gets invited to certain tournaments, it's about who brings the most fans. But again, it's about the revenue. So the kids from inner city historically can't pay for those $2,000 grassroots programs. Historically can't pay for those NEPSAP schools that cost $70,000. So for me, I like that I can help out the inner city kids that, okay, come play somewhere that it's not, you can just don't have to stress yourself about money. You can still have fun with the game. You're not panicking if something doesn't go well because you don't want to waste your sort of quote unquote investment. So for me, I think the inner city girls are sort of looked over because they can't afford certain things. And the ones that sort of, again, that are sort of handpicked out are the exceptional ones. And now they may go somewhere for free or very, 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 very reduced because they can help someone else. So it's like one of those, I'm gonna forget about you if I can't use you. If I can use you, I'll come take you. So that's what's happening in the city over and over again for the boys and girls side. And it's coming more and more and more.
Yeah, it was really hard. I wrote and kind of really dove into that problem on the Boston public school side because the city girls programs, as we all have kind of seen, are struggling success-wise and participation-wise. Like a lot of those teams are not full teams. How much responsibility do you feel, not only as a coach of a school in the city, I know you're not a BPS school, but as a coach of the Boston school and director of like the primary inner city AAU program, like how much responsibility do you feel to just like keep girls coming back to the sport?
Honestly, that's why I do it. That's why I do it, because I feel like if I did not do it, girls in the city would just sort of dilute. And there's so many distractions you can have from the city. Well, just in life, I guess. So many distractions you have just in life. And those are superseding the passion for sports, women's basketball in particular for this situation. So I do that so I can take them outside the city so they can see life outside of Boston, work them out. So by the time you get finished with practice, you're dead tired. You don't want to go get into other distractions, so to speak. Teach them about life lessons, teach them about having good grades or going to school so that they can sort of help their families out who are investing so much in them, have save some money for college, because college isn't for everyone, which is fine. College is not for everyone, but you want to give yourself an opportunity to go there just in case. Cause sometimes just having that paper degree, it open up certain doors. You might meet certain people. So I want to make sure they have as many tools in their arsenal for any situation.
Yeah. And you're kind of alluding to this. One of the things that I have always really appreciated when I've covered your team is you are covering, or you're coaching, a lot of girls who come from really tough situations outside of basketball. And that is part of what it is growing up in the inner city. What, I guess, can you describe for people who, again, like a lot of our viewers are probably from around the state in New England. They might not really understand what it's like to coach the girls you coach. You don't need to get super specific, but can you describe what these girls are going through on a daily basis sometimes that you have to be aware of?
You have everything from some young lady that might have honor roll in school. So they come to school every day because that's like their safe haven. Honor roll, but they're probably homeless, like literally homeless. I've had individuals living in cars. I have individuals parentless. I have individuals that have drug that's infested within their whole family. Have individuals that they can't, when they go outside, they got to go through multiple gang environments to get to school, or just so many. Again, there's so many different factors that they're going through, but the one safe haven is when they're at that court with their friends and going outside and traveling, seeing life outside. They know there's a bright side at the end of the tunnel. So I think for me, it's letting them know that, hey, your obstacles right now are not the end goal. What are you going to do to overcome it? How can you overcome this? How can you be better than this? How can you uplift someone else while you're going through it? Because you're here for a reason. You're surviving. Don't give up. And that's all we think. Never give up, because just trying to figure out a solution. I think that's the biggest thing for that people don't realize. The girls are, not everyone, but a large population is going through some obstacles that basketball is the least of their worries. So like for me, how do I make basketball intriguing enough that they want to continue to come and get out those distractions?
How do you, I guess, coach that way too? Because you've already mentioned, like, you've set such a high standard, obviously, at Cathedral. You want to coach these girls really, really hard and like push them hard. But also, like, there is a lot going on outside of basketball, and on any given day, basketball might not be what they're really thinking about. So how do you push them on the court and also like give them grace when they might understandably be having a rough day?
Again, for me, it's about the communication. So I tell them before they even come to the program or team, like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Like, there's no sugarcoating about it. But if you persevere, you will become tougher and you'll see great things on the other side of it. So I think for me, it's trying to balance, like, showing tough love, but not just being a hard ass. Like, there's time they're gonna be tough. There's time I'm gonna turn a blind eye to certain things. Like, oh, she might have missed the line on that sprint, knowing that she gave her effort, but she busted her ass the last 6 times. So that 7th one, rather having her do it again because she might have a whole meltdown and freak out because see what she's going through already. Like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. Not have a conversation. Hey, I saw you miss that last sprint. We got to figure that out next time. It's just like, okay, thank you, coach. Because again, building that camaraderie, letting them know that I'm here for you. When you do, because there's going to be times you're going to break. There's going to be times they all break. When you do break, let's just have, how can I help you get better? How can I help you get over that hurdle? I'm here when you need me. I'm here when things aren't going well. Because the more they can sort of let it out, the less frustration they have holding in. And they're able to sort of just be a little bit more free.
I want to kind of zoom in on, I think Hijjah is very emblematic of like the kind of the best parts of success with your program, because she came in at 7th grade, I believe, is when she started.
7th grade, yep.
All the way through senior year, she becomes, that would make her a 3-time state champion, then goes off to Franklin Pierce. So obviously that worked. She made it to college to play. And she has said, like I've written about it before, that her family experienced homelessness. And that was something she thought about like every day, was kind of, where was she staying next? What were they going to have? It was really interesting to hear her watch that. And she also at the same time was this like leader of the team for the last couple of years. What is it like watching a girl like her go through the program, and how has she impacted you and your program?
She just makes, again, it's coaching could be very, people see the state championship, right? So people see the state championship and they're like, oh, great, state championship. But there's so many dips and valleys as a coach before that part. And if you don't have tough skin and you don't love what you're doing, you can easily just give up. So I think some coaches coach, they enjoy just coaching from December to February, March. And that's like their stipend, and they're great with that. For me, it's about figuring out how to help these young ladies throughout the year. So like for Hijjah, whether it would be strength and conditioning, keeping taking on the road to seed colleges and things like that. If she wanted to just do things that just got her mind off of the obstacle that she was going through, those are ways of being like a mentor, so to speak, and basically we're like family. So I say my players and I, we become family. So I'm no longer just coach. I become uncle. They call me Baldy. They call me all types of stuff, because it becomes like a better relationship, so to speak. So having her gone through her obstacles and persevered, it's very gratifying for me, because it showed that all the hard work and the perseverance is like, now she's in school. She's going to be in her dorm room. Her mom can now be relieved of where she's at, what she's doing, because she's in the school for free with her own dorm room, with her meal plan, and playing the game she loves. And now her younger brother can watch her. Hey, college is the way to go. My sister can do it. I'm going to do it. So I think it's just one of those rewarding things that I like to happen, like to see year in and year out.
Yeah. She's one of the coolest stories, I think, over the last couple of years that I've gotten to follow at this level. It's really been amazing. And I think the other thing I want to ask too is, it was really cool to hear, again, people should listen to your Java with Jimmy podcast, I think is what it is. It was a great podcast. But you also mentioned about how one of the girls wanted to be an electrician, and
Yep.
that even came into play, how you fixed the scoreboard that one time, which I thought was really cool. How much of this whole process, I know basketball is like the vehicle, but to get a lot of these girls to find passions and like find opportunities outside of basketball, like that being an example.
Again, I think just them, again, through basketball, you can just meet so many different people. So we had Maura Haley come to the school. We met Jalen Brown. We met Marcus Smart. We met various politicians. We went to the State House. But from there, there's so many different doors that open up. But they only open up when the kids show like, okay, and I'm not only a basketball player, I'm a young lady that have great character. I have great grades. I can be respectful. They see, because there's so many obstacles and people see in, what's it called? They start getting perception of what a city kid should look like, not knowing who they are. So like, oh, this actually is a great young lady, no matter where she was. Because if I didn't tell you I didn't tell you she was from Boston, you would not know she was from quote unquote inner city of Boston. Like we had a young, again, I won't say the school. They had a young lady that the coach loved her. Coach loved her. When she was from sophomore, junior, senior year, she had all A's and B's, literally all A's and B's. Her freshman year, first term, she had a D in like French, right? The school, I won't say the school. The school said to the coach, she is not a good academic fit for us. I'm like, all A's and B's from sophomore to junior, sophomore to senior year. Only thing that she had against her, in my mind, that her school was in the city. So they probably said, school was in the city, she can't handle our work. So again, I didn't say that to the young lady. I'm like, maybe it wasn't meant for you to go there. Maybe it wasn't meant for you to go there. This good coach loved her. The school came back and he showed me in writing that the school said she is not a good academic fit for us. I'm like, wow. So those are some stereotypes of being a city kid in the city schools that they have to go through day in and day out.
Yeah, this is actually a perfect segue. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions like this. And I'll start. I'm going to reference this podcast again because it was great. You gave a story about how when I forget where you were interviewing, but how you were interviewing as a coach and your resume was great and they brought you in and you could tell that when they saw you and how your name, Clinton Lassiter, didn't really line up with the perception of you as a Black man. You could see that they were kind of taken aback by that. I want to ask this about you directly first. Like, how often have you run into that situation as you have coached around here and just kind of been around here?
I would say initially it was when I was like interviewing for jobs, not just for coaching, just in life. So like I was an accountant, obviously a teacher, but when my resume is my resume, I have undergrad, 2 masters, but on paper they see that you see Clinton Lassiter, you're not thinking of a Black man with a beard. That's not the first vision you're getting. So they will see my resume, I get called in, great. And when I walk in, there's like, you can see the, oh, wow moment in their eyes. Again, so then it comes on me, me telling them who I am, not by what they see. And then I've always had, knock on wood, I hope I don't have to ever look for a job again. I've always had success with the interviews and jobs, but again, I think I'm a very genuine person, but I can tell, again, we're human. We go off of visual first before we analyze the person off their visual first. Just human nature. But for me, it was always like one of those tests. I was always like, oh, let's see how this works out. Even when I first came to the Catholic School League, again, I'm a Black man coaching the Catholic school with a big old beard. Like it could be intimidating at first. And I'm not one that's be quiet on the sideline. So I'm pretty outspoken and vocal. So I have to make sure that I found a good balance initially for sure. So people wouldn't perceive my antics as being ignorance. Because I'd learned to lead.
Yeah. And yeah, you mentioned it, like your team, again, like largely of inner city women of color are playing in the Catholic Central League, which is a lot of suburban Catholic schools around Eastern Massachusetts who are a lot of times like very different financial situations for those kids. When you travel and play on the road, what does it feel like, and what do you kind of tell them about going and doing that?
I would say again, I got to give kudos to our league. Our league is very competitive, but at the same time, I would say the individuals in our league, from every team that I've encountered, have been very respectful. So, and again, so I don't think our girls have ever encountered any like negative interactions with anyone. I think the help of some of that is to the world has evolved. And I think girls basketball in the state of Massachusetts has evolved. So these young ladies are playing with one another and seeing different styles of people along their quests. So I think that's good. I think for us, which because our style is so different from many of the teams, I think we've gotten some fans from those environments because it's a different style of play. And it's always the up-tempo game. It's action-packed. It's not the traditional what people say girls basketball was, slow and walk the ball up and the score could be 20-20. You know, with us, the winning team's going to have over 50 points.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, and I think that's really interesting too, because again, you told a story. I forget if this was with your Cathedral team or if this was with Showstoppers, that you went and played in Connecticut, and someone came up to you after and were like, man, I didn't know there were like Black girls who could play in Boston.
Yep.
I guess like, what is it like to hear that? And like, is that good? Is that weird? I don't know.
I think again that was like 2009 or 8 or something.
Okay.
So back then it was a whole different environment, and that was said. They really said I didn't know Black girls play basketball in Boston. I think Boston was known as being traditionally white for the most part. But again, that was one of those shockers to us, but it also was an eye opener. That's like, hey, now you got to represent. You got to represent. So you can't come in half-ass. So you got to show what you're capable of doing. And then we played some girls. That time was eye-opening for us as well, because we were like, whoa, these girls are really good. So we had to step our game up, and that made girls work harder on and off the court when we got back. So it was good. It was good overall for everyone.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think some of the last couple of areas I want to ask, you talked about kind of the growth of the women's game. It's obviously, you've talked about this multiple times before, how important it is for young women to have role models that show what is kind of possible for them if they put the work in. Do you notice that the explosion of like the WNBA or college, or even seeing someone like Taina Mayer from Boston go on and be successful in college, do you see that resonate with kids as they kind of learn about the game?
Yes and no, I would say, because it, for one, it's close but not close, because Connecticut can be a drive. So they watch it on TV, but I don't think they get the full effect. I think my next wave for me to help them see a little bit more is take them to more college games. I think our young ladies, talking about my program in particular, we don't go to enough college games so they can see the young ladies that they might not know, but that are really, 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 really good. So I think having them see that first, and then if they watch enough of them, then they'll see that young lady in college, and hopefully she goes to the WNBA, and then it can resonate a little bit more. Because watching Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers is great, but there's no real connection to like who they are and what they've gone through. So I think the next wave for me is going to be like, okay, let's watch more college games, get to know those young ladies, hear their stories and their grind, what a day in the life of a college athlete's like, which is it's not easy to be a college athlete. And then they can see how they did that and got to WNBA and go from there.
Yeah. And I know we've talked so much about you from the Cathedral side, but with the Showstoppers too, it's a lot of, not all the same kids, but a lot of similar kids. I imagine the goals with your program change a little bit because of just what AAU is, but what, I guess for you, how does your mindset shift from coach to director when you can't coach, but I know you're invested? Like what changes between those two worlds for you?
The hardest part is just trying to figure out, one, make sure I follow MIAA guidelines, because I already know the whole world's watching for that. Two, I make sure the program's free, because again, I feel like basketball shouldn't have to be $2,000 that people are paying for like programs. then it's trying to figure out which ones are the most ones we have to go to because it's expensive. Like college, these showcases are now is money driven. There's 1,000 different teams. Like, so before it, back in the day, if you played AAU, you were like a premier player. Like you had to be you was a premier player, you played AAU. Now, anyone could just start an AAU team. You see so many mom and dads, uncles, aunts, just start a team just to say they got a team. So what AAU has gotten watered down, which means though, if it's supply and demand, you have more teams, you can start charging more because people just want to be a part of it. So it's like, some of it is like, okay, do we play to play? Are we playing just go to showcases? I'm trying to figure out what's the next good balance to evolve with the times now, because it's become a business and it's not as lucrative and beneficial, especially with the transfer portal become like it is. A lot of colleges ain't looking to the high school kids as much. I'm trying to figure out what's the balance of doing AAU versus just to say you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you again mentioned like how much cost comes into this, and that again is something I've learned so much about is, and I'll ask you this question: is how important is it to have these low cost opportunities for girls in the city, whether it is your AAU program or even just some of the local, like, you know, the all-star games, the cis run type of leagues? Why do those matter?
It matters big time, because if a kid has to worry about, you know, speaking for the city kids, if they got to worry about the cost of something, they may not go because parents may not want to pay for it. So if I got to say, oh, you got to pay $100 to go play basketball, you're like, oh, I'm not going to go play basketball. Let's go hang out downtown. But if you say, hey, just come play ball, have fun, and enjoy that moment, you'll get them coming back and enjoying. Now, I'm not saying everything has to be free, because nothing in life is always free, but a cost shouldn't be for entertainment for our kids, at least. So I think the more is not a dollar sign and try to pay someone's mortgage, the better it is for the kids.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the last question I want to ask, and this has kind of been a thread throughout a lot of this, is, again, you have done so much winning with the 7 state championships in the last 10 years, consistently are one of the top 10 teams in the state, regardless of division, the track record of sending players off to the next level. How much do you feel like your team represents the state of like city of Boston girls basketball in general? Because even like I saw you had the state championship parade, and like obviously that is a platform for you all. Do you feel that kind of responsibility to represent the whole city, even though you're a small private school?
I actually, again, I enjoy it because the amount of hard work that they put into everything, I think they deserve their flowers, so to speak. So it's a lot of pressure because it's now become win or bust. If we don't win the championship, it's like it's an unsuccessful season. So if not everyone can handle that pressure. For me, it's like, okay, I'm very competitive, so I want to figure out how do we have that success, and if we got to represent Boston in that way, it is what it is. Someone has to win the game. That's my theory. Someone has to win the game. Why can't it be us? People say you can't win them all. Someone has to win. So why can't we win them all? And someone has to win it. So I try to prepare as best as possible to be in position to have the winning outcome. So if it represents Boston that way, great. If it represents Massachusetts that way, great. My whole goal is to make sure we're as best prepared in anything and everything that we do.
Yeah, I understand. I think that is everything. Again, if you are going to watch an MIAA team, like I recommend you go check Cathedral out, because year after year they play it's really a fun style of basketball where they play really, really fast. They put up points, as you mentioned. I mean, some of the state championship point totals are crazy, and they do it without like your leading scorer will maybe have 18 points in a game. So it's very balanced. So yeah, thank you, Coach, for joining the show and explaining all that. I think it's very good perspective for a lot of people outside of the city to know how you kind of approach a job.
No, thank you for sure. Thank you for having me again. You do a great job. Like I said, hard working for the players. I see you everywhere, getting your grind in, and you know all the kids. There's been times I've been at events. I'm like, hey, Ethan, who's this kid right here? And you know exactly who they were. So that's what you do.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, Coach. I'm sure I'll see you then at an event soon. And for producer David Yaz, thank you. I'm Ethan Fuller. We'll see you next time.